All right. And we're live. No music today because technology don't want to work with me. What's going on, bro?
Man, nothing much, man. Nothing much. Just want to
Yeah.
welcome everybody to I'm Saying podcast, before we kick it off. And, um, you know, I'm cooling, bro.
Yeah. Yeah, man. There's a lot of stuff going on in the world, man. It feels like the world is burning, with a lot of things happening in Israel. There's also things going on in the Sudan, in the Congo, um, um, and one more other place I'm forgetting. Same type of stuff where there's attacks and accusations of terrorism and who's the terrorist and who's not.
Mhm.
So a lot going on in the world, man. Even in America, where we are a year out from a presidential election. Next year, and we got to talk about Project 2025. You know, the Republicans take over of uh, of the country, really, to change politics in this country and change people's lives. You know what I'm saying? So we're gonna get into some things, as we always do, man. Yeah, yeah. What's up, bro?
Oh man, nothing much, man. You
Mm-hmm.
know, just kind of looking at the world and like really trying to analyze it and kind of
Mm-hmm.
step back. Because we have just went from a, you know, 2D, 3D chessboard to a 4D.
Mm-hmm.
And when I say that, it is more or less like, you know, people are upset with Biden and so forth. He's losing support and so forth because of some of the things that um, some policies that he's been backing on the more conservative side, um, and so forth. But again, this ain't 2D or 3D chess.
Mm-hmm.
So again, the play isn't Biden as the kingmaker,
Mm-hmm.
and this is something that we're gonna probably get into in the conversation and understand that the Republicans are playing kingmaker serious, especially with their plan and so forth, because they are looking to move this country more to a autocratic um, country, and
Mm-hmm.
also closer to a dictatorship.
Right, right. And most definitely establishing like authoritarianism.
Yeah.
That's really their plan, you know. And I find it interesting in people who are making a declaration a year out, of not supporting Biden. Like, and I always ask this question, like, man, what are you paying attention? What is it exactly are you paying attention to? You know what I'm saying? Um, you know, people are making a lot of decisions. Again, I think that people are making decisions based on perfection and not actually understanding global international politics. You know what I'm saying? And and understanding the importance of you know of certain decisions that are being made. You know what I mean? Because we can all have personal feelings in it. You know what I'm saying? Like we can all believe we have our own beliefs. You know what I'm saying? Especially about the Israeli conflict, right? You know,
Mhm.
we spent decades in this country. Um, Anytime you critique the Israeli government, well, people will come out and be like, "Oh, you're an anti-Semite." You know what I mean? And so I think that a lot of the issues is that 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 because people can separate government from religion, you know what I'm saying? People now, now we're, in the where we're at today. You know what I'm saying? Where you did have, Hamas government. You know what I'm saying? Um, that did carry out a attack against the Israelis, and then and the Israelis responded, you know, but the Israelis have the backing of the United States and the United Kingdom, you know, and it yeah, it's just yeah, it's interesting, man. I don't know what yeah, and of course, what aid do we send? What's that? How does that impact the rest of the world? Decision
Yes.
making and things of that nature.
Mhm.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's just interesting, man.
Yeah,
But
yeah, man. It's the same scenario of like what we deal with it as Black and African Americans, right? Whenever the government uses racist policies to hurt or harm Black and brown people, and the minute that you criticize the government for it, other people then go defend like people
hmm
as, oh, well, you're calling me racist, and it's like, no, I'm not calling you racist, but and go defend. You have to understand that you are tying yourself to the 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 parts to support that that racism.
hmm
Um, and it's the same issue that's happening in Palestine and Israel and so forth. Just like the equivalency to Hamas, and then equivocating Palestinians with Hamas.
Right,
But
right, right.
people don't realize how can that be fine, but then when someone criticizes Israel, then you're telling me that's anti-Semitic,
Anti,
even
yeah.
though the Palestinians are Semitic people too.
Man, that's a
Like,
great point.
it's the craziest thing.
That's a great point, man. Yeah, man. Trying to point that out to people, man. Like, Palestinians are Semitic people. Any Arab people, they're Semitic peoples as well. So if you're talking about Muslims or anything like that, you are being an anti-Semite. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
But again, it's about language, man. And I think that's the most telling like connection to the past, right?
Mhm.
It's language. It's how you describe people. You know what I'm saying? Because I was watching a press conference or something from one of the individuals from the Israeli government, and they were talking about they were talking about Hamas, but the way that they framed it, they didn't make a distinction between Hamas and the Palestinian people. And so, you're using language of savages,
Mhm.
using language of, this dehumanizing language, right? And like you said, it is the same thing. It's the same thing that black people in this country, indigenous people in this country had to go through here in America, man. And so people wonder why, like if folks are paying attention, you know what I'm saying? Why, if you look across, the landscape, if you take outside of those folks who have um, a Zionist reason to support Israel, meaning they have a biblical reason because they want the rapture to happen. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Things of that nature. But if you take that outside of that, you do have black people who are supporting Israel. Because there is I'm sorry, supporting Palestine or Palestinian peoples, because there is a parallel to how Black people were treated, in this country. You know what I'm saying? I mean, you have Gaza, which is basically, people described it an open air prison, which it is. I mean, that's really what it is. They have to get permission to come and go. They can't have an airport. Um, in order for them to get food or aid into the government, people ain't paid attention, but the Biden administration also work with the Israeli government, so that they can have direct aid to Palestinian peoples. You know what I'm saying? Without going through Israel. You know what I'm saying? Medical supplies, getting, they just, Israeli government just bombed a refugee camp that was
Mhm.
in Palestine, man. And so,
And also
yeah, man.
church.
What's that?
They just bombed the church as well.
Yeah, man. Yeah, man, and you know, uh, and it's interesting, man. And again, people always try to make it seem like like we talked about last time. People try to make it seem like it is a complicated issue, and it's not.
Yeah,
It really is not, man. You just have to follow. You have to understand the context and follow the historical pattern. You know what I'm saying? Of colonialism, colonization, Britain colonizing a land of people, the Palestinians, and of course, you had you had to send the European Jews somewhere. You
mhm,
know, you had to send the Ashkenazi Jews and the Eastern Ashkenazi Jews, which existed in Germany and France, and no, I'm sorry, Germany and France. Then you had the Eastern Jews who were in Russia, parts of Russia at the time, the USSR, and then you had the Sephardics who were in Spain. You know, you know, and but the it's the Ashkenazi Jews that mainly that they went to Palestine and you know started treating the Palestinians like the Europeans were treating them. You know what I mean? Yeah, and
yeah.
and it, go ahead, bro.
Sorry to cut you off,
No, 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 you
because
good.
the parallel, right, is the same thing that we were talking about on one of our discussions, right? If racism went away in America and it was just all blacks here, it would be a group of blacks that would just pick up the mantle of racism.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yep.
this is what racism and colonialism has done to the world,
Hmm.
where what you see in Congo and what was the other place?
In Sudan.
In Sudan is
Mhm.
exactly one group that still wants to colonize another group.
Yep.
And where did they learn this practice from?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, and people have to understand that, and we have said it, oh my gosh, over and over and over again on this podcast, to really show people, if you look at history, man, that
Hmm.
you you don't formulate thought.
Hmm.
Thoughts are before you. So what you are, where you have derived in the way that you have processed things, it has already been your mind has already been made up.
Yeah. Hmm.
So you don't have a true conscious thought, because your true conscious thought would be humanity.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah. No, that's real, man. That's it is a people, you know, um truly are not looking at the humanistic side of this. You know what I'm saying? Like the humanistic side of this, you know what I'm saying? It's you could go and look at the shrinking of land for one group of people in that area, you know what I'm saying? And like you're saying, the issue the issues in the Sudan and the Congo is you know um is of the same thing, you know what I'm saying? Just you know, trying to take over. And I mean, Russia and Ukraine, you know what I'm saying? You have two different groups of people, you know what I mean? One person wants to, one group wants to take over the other, you know what I'm saying? For whatever XYZ reason, you know. But of course,
China and the Uyghurs.
yeah, yeah, China and the Uyghurs and China, you know what I mean? And
Taiwan.
that's another area where China has put uh um basically created an open air prison and put these people who are essentially nationalistically Chinese, but they just took this ethnic group of people, put them in a camp somewhere, you know what I'm saying? And then you don't hear about it. You don't hear about it no more. You know what I'm saying? Not only did they put the people, they put their children as well. You know what I'm saying? And basically put them in a camp. It is you know what I'm saying? An ethnically cleansing. You know what I'm saying? These individuals. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. And
Um,
and what's going on in is it Sri Lanka? um,
mm,
in India,
mhm,
and the Buddhist monks up there have been
mm,
fighting for over it's been 4 years now, and like they're not using guns,
right,
they're not using guns, but they're killing each other with pitchforks and shit.
mhm,
You know what I'm saying? And it's been going on for years.
yeah,
But what happened was literally territory
mhm,
where India is trying to seize more land in that area
mhm,
that was never their land. You know what I'm saying?
yeah,
For 200 whatever years.
mhm, mm, yeah, it is, yeah, like I said, it's you know, it seemed like the world's burning. And it's crazy. I'm watching this year this I like documentaries. I like dinosaurs, you know. And so there's this documentary on dinosaurs or something on Netflix. It's pretty good. Uh, but each time they explaining, how what was going on during the earth, they explain the extinction of the earth, you know what I mean? Morgan Freeman,
Mhm.
he always ends it like this was the first mass extinction. And this was the second mass extinction. This was the third mass extinction. The fourth mass extinction. Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy. You know what I
So the
mean?
family down there watching it now. So
Oh man, it's good.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah, it's
yeah.
good, man.
CGI
Shit,
is great.
huh? Oh
The
yeah, the
CGI
CGI.
is great.
Oh, it's great, man. Yeah, it's great, man. As soon as we done, man, I'm gonna go watch it again. I'm gonna go watch
Yeah.
the I think I got like two more episodes to go. But it's good. And it's interesting and it explains evolution, but more importantly, it explains like the extinction population, you know what I'm saying? And like as human beings, we're the animals couldn't control their but as human beings, we are responsible for our own, you know, extermination. You know what I'm saying? So whether we talking about the climate, or these issues that are happening, in the Sudan and the Congo and things of that nature, you know what I'm saying? Um, you know, it is human beings trying to exterminate other human beings. There's no external fact. There's no asteroid, or there's no atmospheric thing that happens, where the ground interacts with the air and things of that nature. You know what I mean? It's just humans you know, being humans, man. And the human part of it, for me, what I mean, it's sad to see all this going on in 2023, where we should be, where we are a global economy, and we should be working to globally, you know, help the world. You know what I'm saying? It just remind me of like the pandemic, man. When everybody's going through the pandemic and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? And Americans who just didn't understand the global impacts. You know what I'm saying? Didn't want to help. You know.
Mhm.
Not only the global impacts, you don't even understand the impacts that it have into the state that's next to you, people. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
So
yeah. You
so
didn't even care about your own neighbor.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. It's care, man, and again, it's in the language of the people with power. You know what I'm saying? You know, the Israelis right now have the power. They have the numbers. They have the military might, and they have the aid from other countries. And so they have the power to describe what actually to describe the not only Hamas but the Palestinian peoples, and they're not making a distinction a lot of times. And so of course some people are going to be you know um gonna be empathetic or something, one way or the other, or one way, towards the Israelis, mainly because of biblical thing, Zionism, and
Martin
they
Luther King.
hmm
Martin Luther King talked about it. You know what I'm saying? He,
hmm
he said, you know, when the gentleman was talking about Israel had the right to defend itself and so forth, and should they cease fire and so forth, and he said, well, that's more the reason. of Israel taking those first steps. Because
Mhm.
when you know that you can just squash someone, you
Mhm.
have the greatest power to change it for the good or the bad.
Mhm.
And it's true.
Mhm.
You can look at every aspect, and I'm going to bring football in this. We've been criticizing like the Philadelphia Eagles, right? We're both Philadelphia Eagles fans,
Mhm.
and pretty much almost every game they could have put the teams away,
Mhm.
but they played down to their opponent,
Yeah.
and their opponent, um, you see holding calls, penalty, penalty after penalty, and then you see the Eagles committing the same penalties that you're not used to them committing. And
Mhm.
it's simply the analogy of when you don't understand your own strength and power, you end up misusing it.
Mhm.
And that's where you start making your flaws, your mistakes, and so forth.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah, man. That's a great point on MLK, man, because MLK, man, he said the three evils: poverty, racism, and militarism.
Yeah.
He talked about in his book, Where Do We Go From Here? Chaos or Community. Great book. And he talked about all that stuff. You know what I'm saying? Um, you know, they lead to you know, um, you know, saying that they exist in uh, a cycle. You know what I mean? Um, and they just and they just create barriers to the community and stuff, man. Um, I have to reread about it, but yeah, man, all these things are yeah, and again, man, like like I had a disc. I don't really watch the news anyway, but it's on at work. You know what I mean? And it's just like, man, the one export America has is war. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I love just talking about it. Our news stations love just talking about it. You know what I'm saying? And not adding context to anything. You know what I'm saying? And you know and there's like quote unquote progressives, you know what I'm saying, who are like, who are talking about you know, ceasefire, need
Ooh,
to call for a ceasefire. I'm not gonna
ooh,
vote for
do you
Biden.
wanna get
Like,
into the progressives? Do you
huh?
wanna get into the progressives?
Look,
You know what I'm
man.
saying? If I'm gonna be frank, man, the whiteness came out of the progressives.
Oh yeah,
Oh,
of
man.
course.
You started to see a clear linear line
Mm-hmm.
between being an actual leftist and a progressive,
Mm-hmm.
and the pretend of some so-called leftist
Mm-hmm.
that was literally calling for war
Yeah.
and just like not even discussing the context or anything. It was just sheer war.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just like, yeah, that's not a leftist stance, man.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And
Right.
you know, the hardest thing is, as I'm looking at this whole cycle, is especially when people were, yes, you're supposed to criticize Biden, right? He's the president. You're
Mm-hmm.
supposed to criticize him when he's wrong. But when you look at politics and policy and so forth, this isn't something that you come to a decision today.
Mm-hmm.
This is something that you have to step back. You have to find out a little more of the context of where did it derive from, and also what what policies that have affected those changes, and how can we change them? because at the end of the day, yeah, should it be in question that we start talking about holding aid if Israel sit back and just like carpet bomb, you
Mhm.
know, uh, um, like a year ago when they were carpet bombing for tunnels because they found out that the Palestinians were running food under the tunnels,
Mm.
and then once they carpet bombed the tunnels, Hamas shot a rocket.
Mm.
Like those are valid things to start having conversations about because
Yeah.
maybe you should stop trying to blockade their food.
Yeah.
And maybe we should talk about like, hey, we cannot fund your government if these are the these are our criteria
Mhm.
to be able to get funding.
Mhm.
The same way with Ukraine and so forth. But the problem is with the United States is the hard part is as much as we criticize right wing governments that we support right wing governments abroad. Just what the truth is.
Yeah, I mean, we supported Netanyahu. He's a right winger
Yeah,
when he was Israeli's prime minister. I don't think he
yeah,
is now. Um,
yeah,
uh, yeah, we support right wing governments, man. Yeah.
yeah. Bolsonaro, like
Hmm.
man, you just go down the line.
Yeah, 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 man. It is um yeah, yeah, and like I said with the progressives, man, it like to me, I say that the problem with the progressives is they don't understand strategy or
Mm,
numbers, right? And because if they truly wanted to make an impact, of course, right now it's not opposing Biden. You know what I mean?
mhm, mhm,
Because what are your choices right now? Your choices
mhm,
are Donald Trump, likely Nikki Haley. Like they wouldn't have done anything different. You know what I'm saying?
mhm.
Matter of fact, they Nikki Haley probably would have sent boots on the ground or something. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Um, but but I think about the apartheid in South Africa. You know what I'm saying? Where part of the reason why apartheid ended in South Africa was black people were protesting, particularly black people that listen to rap music. You know what I'm saying? Were protesting the apartheid that was happening. You know what I mean? Black people were like, oh, we're not going to buy certain products. You know what I'm saying? I
Mhm,
think it was like Coca Cola or something like that.
mhm,
And and finally the powers that be went and talked to folks out like, look, y'all need to, basically chill out. And I'm generalizing, um, but you know, but if you truly believe in that, you know what I'm saying, believe in what it is that you're saying, you should be in the streets right now, organizing, right? You know what I'm saying,
mhm.
like we did around the Women's Lib March, Women's Liberation 2020, BLM that also happened. I'm sorry, Women's Lib was 2017 or so, 2018.
Yeah.
Um, there ain't nobody marching. There's very little protest that's happening. You know what I'm saying? You know what I mean? And the right now you have a on the federal level you have uh, um, a House that is led by Republicans and a Senate that has a Democratic majority, but you just don't have the true Democratic majority that you think you have. You know what I'm saying? So, and again, our president is not a king. Biden's not going in. Any aid that is being sent to Ukraine or being sent to Israel goes through the House and it goes through the Senate, and then Biden just signs it. That's really what it does. And a lot of times our Senate has or once these bills are created, these aid bills are created, they have a veto, majority. So Biden, he can't, you know what I'm saying? He can oppose it, right?
Mhm.
But then the Senate just come back and be like, well, all right, well, forget your veto because it's veto proof anyway. This is now law. Bam, and it goes. You know what I'm saying? So,
And here's another
mhm,
caveat, bro.
mhm.
All 435 members are up for a race this coming election.
Yeah,
All
all
435.
yeah,
And
man.
out of the what is it? 100 members
Mhm.
of the Senate, 33 are up for election.
Wow.
Now,
Yeah.
the, the caveat is Republicans right now are in a 15 plus in purple district
Mhm.
because of gerrymandering.
Mhm. Mhm.
Now, a lot of those Republicans, as you see with Ken Buck stepping down,
Mhm.
because he is going to lose that seat.
Yeah.
Because in those purple districts, they are turning back blue.
Mhm.
It's just what it is because again, this is what's happening with Christo-fascism, all of this nationalism and so
Mhm.
forth in the purple districts. Like, yeah, we wanted some of this, but we didn't want all of this.
Mhm.
We wanted you to roll back something like, yeah, we understand like abortion is you know a little cringy or so forth, but we don't want what I'm saying? Like it's
Yeah.
things like that where the Republicans overplayed their hand again.
Yeah.
And you can go through history again and watch the Republicans. You can go all the way back to 18 whatever. They have always overplayed their hand because it's always been about power.
Bingo. That's what I was gonna say. It's always been about power, man. You know what I'm saying? Like it's like it goes back to in more recent history is Newt Gingrich's contract with America. Newt Gingrich come up with a contract in America. Oh, this is what all other people who vote Republican want. You know what I'm saying? And of course, he gets Speaker of the House, and then it's not what they want. You know what I'm saying? So then what happens? They end up losing, a whole bunch of House seats and losing a bunch of Senate seats because of this contract in America. Because again, like you're saying, it is a Christo nationalist, fascist, you know what I mean, agenda. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
And that's what this project, one thing that we talked about was Project 2025. It is the same thing. It is a fascist. It is a fascist agenda meant to install basically a dictator. You know, it's authoritarianism. You know what I'm saying? If you do not believe in the same way that I believe, then we're going to create laws so that you cannot no longer have freedom to believe in the way that you believe or be in the way that you want to be. You know what I'm saying? Which is all the time. I try to tell people all the time, you know what I'm saying? Like, people are a lot of time like, I'm a Republican because I believe in small government. Well, Republicans haven't believed in small government since like like before Nixon. The Republicans are the ones that we got big government because anytime you create laws, you're making government bigger. You know what I'm saying? And that's all
Well,
that Republicans have done. You know what I mean?
yeah.
Since 2008. It's
Well,
crazy.
shoot, man, you can go all the way back to Andrew Jackson. Honestly, like
Mhm.
the expansion of government during that time to to take indigenous land. You know
Mhm.
what I'm saying? Like this has always been the party that has always expanded when they had power.
Yeah.
But people like trying to get people to understand, well, what does that mean?
Mhm.
What does that mean when you say the government is expanding? Well,
Mhm.
it's expansion of power. It's
Mhm.
utilizing the laws to create a power structure that that takes away your freedom.
Mhm.
And like that is the hard message that is hard for people to understand or convey.
Yeah.
Um in the whole power structure, because to even understand what North Carolina is doing right now,
Mhm.
they
Oh.
are literally removing the ability to, even if the people voted something in that pretty much this the House members can just overrule it.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah, I mean,
And that's not a voice, man. That's not freedom.
no, it's not, man. I mean, w the Republicans just put somebody in the House that, as a speaker. You know what I mean? Who, by the way, you know what I mean? The reason that he doesn't believe in abortion is mainly, is mainly because the majority of these folks with power, their belief is really not is not a Christian belief. It's a class belief. You know what I'm saying?
Mm,
Because they can force women to create human beings that are going to work for free or no or work for very cheap labor, right? To
mm,
create a cheap labor force, right? This is what the immigration policy is about, right? The immigration policy, or these folks, these Republicans that harp on immigration, because it's not just quote unquote Mexicans that are coming across the border. It's Africans, it's people from China who are
mm,
coming across the border as well. I read that the other day. So you have all these other groups that are coming across the border as well. But again, if you stop these individuals coming across the border, and you stop these individuals who are going to be your cheap labor force, well, then you have to create a cheap labor force within the borders of America, right? If you stopped all immigration somehow, that's what you're going to have to do. And again, it's a cyclical thing because the cheap labor force, back in the late 1800s and the early 1900s, prior to the Great Depression, were European laborers. They were the cheap labor force. They were, the Slavs, the Czechs, the Southern Italians, the Irish, certain lower classes of Germans. You know what I'm saying? And other Europeans. They were the cheap labor force in many in this country. You know what I'm saying? Not only before that, also during slave times, they were the cheap labor force as well. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, one interesting thing I found out was that, black people talk about the Freedmen's Bureau. Well, part of the reason for the Freedmen's Bureau was also to help poor white people. So that's what it was for too. It wasn't just for black people. It was for poor
mhm,
white people as well. You know, and when you go through the Civil War, as the North is realizing they're getting ready to they're going to win, the view shifts from the view shift the ideology shifts from uniting the Union to saving poor white people. You know what I mean?
mhm.
Yeah, and it's crazy, fascinating. It's crazy stuff, man.
Your
But
pain and your freedom is shackled to mine.
mhm,
And until I'm free, you're not free either.
man,
Man, great statement.
yeah, that's it, man. Yeah, I seen somebody say that the reason we don't have certain things in America is because of racism. Because if if we had something like a high speed rail, there people don't want a high speed rail because people view it as, oh well, that means black people will use it too. That means
Yeah,
that
yeah,
means
yeah.
that means black people will get that means if we get good stuff, that means they get good stuff too, and we don't want it. And a
Yeah.
lot of times that's what the opposition is, right? A lot of times it's, the opposition to things is based on race, and it's based on gender, and it's based
Yeah.
on class. So
Yeah,
That's why we
they
can't
they
have nice
they actually
things.
just took a poll on some of that, bro, and, like,
Mhm,
even when it came to liberal white people, they voted against it
mhm,
because, again, when the question is posed to them,
mhm.
and it's posed in a manner that they can benefit and others can benefit too, for some reason in their brain, they say, "Oh, hell no."
Yeah. Yeah, it's part of why the South did not industrialize after the Civil War because they were like, "Ah, no, we got these got these niggers to do it.
Yeah, yeah,
We ain't gonna industrialize. The whole world's industrializing. The North will industrialize. Nah. Train system. We ain't creating no train system. We ain't doing
yeah,
that. You know what I'm
yeah,
saying? Yeah,
yeah,
yeah. But it's a
and
like
we
this Project 25. Like I got to this part right. This is a
mhm,
very interesting part. There's the fourth pillar of Project 25's 180-day transition playbook. Um, Create a transition plan for each federal agency. So so the reason why they have this is that during the Trump administration, the powers that be within the Republican Party knew that Trump was a useful idiot, right? However, because he was such an idiot, you know what I'm saying? The he did not to them he did not put the correct people in the places of of he did not put the correct people in these agencies in order for them to implement their conservative plan. You know what I'm saying? So like a Ben Carson or a
brain surgeon
Betsy De-
over HUD.
right, exactly, or Betsy DeVos or the other guy over the over shoot over the Fed. You know what I'm saying? So basically, Trump put all these people in powers and places of power, and they basically looked out for themselves. You know what I'm saying? So what Project 2025 wants to do is rectify that by making sure whoever is the presidential candidate or presidential, if they win, this is the plan to put the correct people in those places of power. You know what I'm saying? So that they can implement the what's this mandate for leadership, the conservative promise. And that conservative promise is to take from you, is to end Social Security, defund public schools, make it harder to vote. And also, as we see with Senator Tuberville, what Senator Tuberville wants to do is make it harder. Right now, he's preventing people from getting promoted in the military because he thinks that the military is woke and needs to get rid of DEI. And also, women in the military should not be allowed to travel across state in order to get abortions because he thinks that's funded by the United States government for some reason, or the United States military and the government for some reason. He's an idiot. Um, but he don't care. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, he don't care, and he's an idiot. But again, you know, people keep electing these idiots um, because at the end of the day, they know these folks will look out for them. You know what I mean, and not look out for other people. You know what I'm saying? Tuberville get elected. There's some idiots in Alabama that's like, yeah, Tuberville, you go. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Meanwhile,
well,
yeah, go ahead, bro.
no, I was just going to say, like, well, it makes it easy when you have an uh elected, like, group that votes for these people that don't use any context to why they need these the bills that they want to pass, and instead of giving them rage,
Hmm.
um where when you look at on the other side, the problem with liberal, leftist, Democrat kind of people is you see the inability
Hmm.
to also convey a message when it's hard to really get across um in a short in sync way.
Mhm.
Because a lot of these things that are happening takes a little more than a 2-minute clip.
Yeah. Mhm. Mhm. What is this? Oh, I'm sorry, man. I just had to click. The Frederick Douglass Foundation. Oh my god. What? Who is the Frederick Douglass Foundation is a national education public policy organization with local chapters across the United States, which brings the sanctity of free market and limited government ideas to bear on the hardest Oh my God. These are people who never lived, who never read Frederick Douglass.
And they don't have to.
They don't exactly. They don't have to. They don't have to. As long as they put up this fake caricature of you know of you know it's like Martin Luther King, right?
Mhm.
As long as you keep sharing those same two sentences, you know what I'm saying, in a speech, everything else don't matter. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, it don't matter, man. And it's crazy because Frederick Douglass did not call for limited government.
No, no.
No, if anything, he wanted government to do more, particularly in helping black people.
But again, bro,
Caricatures, right? Use
yep.
caricatures, man. Um, because again, that's one thing me and you talked about. You know what I mean? Like the narrative is more important than the context.
Yeah.
Right? Narrative is more important. It's more important for me to tell this fake story of Frederick Douglass. You know what I'm saying? This story of Frederick Douglass being a Republican, and he never considered himself a Republican. He considered himself an independent. You know, within the Republican Party, um, and he
But
most
who's gonna
definitely,
believe you?
yeah,
Who's who's gonna believe you if they never even read it themselves?
right, exactly, or they weren't indoctrinated with it. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
Like, you know, they'll still believe these things about Frederick Douglass that is just not in any way true. You know, Frederick Douglass was alive today. At the very least, people would consider him a moderate. He most definitely would not be part of the today's Republican Party. He
No,
would not. There would be no way, shape, and form he would be a part of today's Republican Party.
I actually was talking to my son today because he had a report due.
Hmm.
Well, no, actually a couple days ago, and
Hmm.
I was like, asking, well, what was the report about? He said about how to argue um your opinion.
Hmm.
And I said, yeah, that's kind of strange. He was
Hmm.
like, well, why do you think that's strange? I said, because I'm looking at an era where all we do is argue opinions,
Yeah.
and it's no facts based in none of these opinions.
Hmm.
And I said, for a teacher at a college to do that, what I'm thinking is he's trying to prep young adults to believe that you have to enter a argument based on opinions rather than utilizing facts surrounded around your opinion.
Hmm.
And
Yeah.
he kind of disagreed at first, and then we like kind of went through an exercise, and then he kind
Hmm.
of like, it was just a quick exercise of just like him posing something, and
Hmm.
I just threw out something outrageous and so forth, and I was just like, we finally got to the end, and he was going in circles, I'm going in circles, and I'm just like, you see what happens when it's just an opinion?
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
find
Yeah.
yourself in a circle of no information at all.
Hmm. Hmm.
It's no way possible when you're talking about a debate on policy or things like health or safety. You would never ever win that debate. you'll never win because there was no facts that was ever given. And then if you did give a fact, it'd just be thrown out by an opinion.
Yeah, we do live in a well, unfortunately, we just live in a world where, opinion is elevated to the position of facts, you know what I'm saying?
Mhm,
Um yeah, it is you know, it's the sound bites, and let me get out of here because this is pissing me off. Uh, that's making me mad again. And I just bought this book that I can't wait to get here. It's written by Clay Kane, called The Grift. He talk about black
mhm,
conservatives. You know,
mhm,
and that apparently that Frederick Douglass thing was led by black conservatives. You know what I'm saying? Um, they're okay with selling out black people, man, for extra butter on their biscuits, man.
mhm, mhm.
You know what I'm saying? Carving out a piece of power for themselves, you know what I'm saying? And and then letting everybody else figure it out. You know what I'm saying? Uh yeah, that Frederick
I
Douglass thing
wonder
was
how that's
pit.
going to work if Republicans are successful with this Project 2025, as
Oh,
they're
oh,
now trying to create a law to um, deport Palestinians.
oh
That
yeah, I just seen that.
oh yeah.
Yeah,
So again, if we know how laws work, you know what I'm saying. If you think that black people are not going to get caught up in the dragnet,
right. It wouldn't just stop at Palestinians. It'd be like the what was that law during after 9/11 that they had? I can't remember, the Patriot Act.
oh
Yeah,
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 good
yeah.
one.
It'd be like the Patriot Act, right? And the Patriot Act was supposed to, you know, define terrorism. But what it did was it allowed, the FBI and state policing agencies to terrorize black people. That's what happened.
Yeah.
I don't need no. Yeah, you get these. I forget what they call them, but basically these quick warrants. You call a judge in the middle of the night, to get a warrant and stuff, and they just kicking in doors without having an actual warrant. You know what I'm saying? And actually, they're just going after and terrorizing black people. Not just black people. They were terrorizing classes of people.
Hmm.
You know what I'm saying? They
Hmm.
weren't going to the suburbs kicking in doors. You know what I mean? They were going into these lower economic communities, kicking in doors. You know what I'm saying? And so yeah.
Yeah.
The
I
and
had
the and the same go ahead, bro.
two friends. Well, they were more or less associates growing
Mhm,
up. They got deported
mhm.
back to Jamaica.
Oh,
Um,
yeah.
and like we sitting here like, well, what? Like over like they weren't no bad guys.
Nah,
Like,
man.
but a little bit of marijuana,
Mhm.
second charge. Like it was literally that simple.
Oh, yeah. Yeah,
Gone.
yeah, man. Yeah, because again, it's these laws aren't made to go after, what I mean, you know, and it is not made to go after, it's like Ivanka Trump getting an Einstein visa. If you know anything about the brain
Mhm.
drain, why a lot of people from Indian heritages are over here. Some Nigerian folks come over here, and the Chinese people as well. They already have money and degrees when they come over here. But anyway, so the only way Ivanka could come over here, she get an Einstein visa. But again, like a lot of these laws are not, at their surface, you know, at their surface, of course, the language, has a purpose, because they won't just say Palestinian people.
Mhm.
They'll just describe a group of people, and it'll apply to a broad swath of people. You know what I'm saying? So they'll just use that legislation to just get rid of folks, you know. And again, they won't target the Europeans who are over here illegally, you know.
Oh, the
It won't.
Canadians,
Oh yeah, I mean
the ones
Canadian.
who overstay more than everybody.
Yeah, yeah, the Canadians, Germans,
Yeah.
I mean, they're yeah, there's Europeans that's they just stay over here because they disappear. You know what I'm saying? Um, but yeah, man, it's yeah, it's interesting, man. Dang, I had something to say and I just lost it that quick. Yeah, maybe
And
it'll come back to me.
yeah,
But yeah, man. Yeah, yeah. It's
yeah.
yeah.
It's a tactic that they're using right now, writing legislation, man, that, in the Republican Party by using vague language.
Hmm.
Uh, and they have been doing this with abortion and so forth. They did it down in Florida with the abortion, where, you know, pretty much like Florida people voted for like 15 weeks of abortion, but they wrote the legislation like so vague that about time it passed, that they pretty much have like a zero
Yeah.
in the whole abortion, like no tolerance.
No, yeah,
And
yeah, yeah,
and
man.
and this if you don't think that they will apply this, man, and I'm man, I will stress this until the cows come home to black folks, especially after they attack the 14th Amendment.
Hmm.
Ooh,
Yeah, man. Yeah, that's why it's important, black
conservative
folk.
black folk, hey man, yeah, at that point for me, yeah, don't even come over here, bro.
Yeah.
Don't
Hmm.
even come over here because we tried to tell you, tried to talk to you, tried to like warn you over and over and over again. And at
Hmm.
the end of the day, when you sit back inside with actual white supremacists, I ain't talking about Joe saying something that is racist. I'm
Hmm.
telling you, people that are trying to use the legislative power
Hmm.
in 2023 to suppress groups,
Yeah.
which is racist, using the system. It's nothing that
Yeah.
Joe Biden did to use the system to sit back and hurt black people.
Hmm. Yeah, man. It is. Again, man. It always fascinates me how the Republicans always get let off the hook, man. You know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of, you know what I'm saying? Just trying to explain to people, like the Republicans treat people like that that parent. You know what I'm saying? Don't do nothing, do the bare minimum. You know what I'm saying? But somehow the kids love 'em. You know what I'm saying? Meanwhile, the Democrats are not the most perfect parents. You know what I'm saying? The Democrats party's not the most perfect parents, but they're there. They get, they try their hardest and give you what you give you things that you need. They try, work hard. You know what I'm saying? They're not perfect. They're gonna make mistakes. But the Republicans ain't doing nothing. They telling you, hey, let me know when you're going when your next game is. I'll be there. They don't show up. They don't send you nothing for your birthday party. None. Somehow. Some way, the kids the kids just love 'em. The kids just love 'em.
They
"Don't
they
you
they
talk
get
about
to
my
they
Republican."
get yeah. They get to the after the game and be like, but your father and mother, look, they the one who didn't do what they were supposed to do. I know I wasn't there,
I know I
but
wasn't. Exactly,
but
exactly.
it's their fault.
It's their fault. Yeah. Is that I mean, that they just get off the hook. They just get nobody it's crazy, man. It's always crazy to me, man. Like,
And you
where
can
are the
bring it up in a
Republicans?
conversation when you're
Yeah.
talking to a Republican voter or anybody, and the first thing they say is like, "Oh, well, the Democrats run on trying to help people." I'm just like, man, are you even listening to yourself? So
Mhm.
you vote consciously knowing that the Republicans don't want to help
Don't
people.
want to help people.
You know what I'm saying? Like, man, are you really listening to yourself?
Yeah, like, how does that register in your brain? How does that
Ah,
even register, man? Like I don't know, or quality of life, man. Quality of life, man. And right now, you just have one political party that is an opposition party. That's just what they are. Because in order to be an authoritarian regime, in order to implement fascism, you got to be in opposition. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
Folks read Mussolini's Doctrine of Fascism. You have to be in opposition of people, right? You establish all these laws, and people they better follow them, or there's consequences. You know what I'm saying? And that's really what the Republicans are trying to do. They're going to create some laws. And mainly how they're going to create those laws is what happened during the Trump administration, when Trump at the time put in the most judges of any president, put in
Mhm.
conservative judges, quote unquote conservative judges. So now the Supreme Court, as it was originally set up, was supposed to be was a- wa- was well, eventually it becomes a part of the checks and balances. Um, uh, um, but when the Supreme Court became part of the checks and balances, it's supposed to be an impartial court. Impartial, just judge on the law. Now that's not happening, and that's not going to happen if the Republicans get, you know, if they implement this project 2025 thing.
Oh, yeah.
Uh, yeah, 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 because they'll
Yeah,
just put people who have
Clarence
a
Thomas is corrupt now.
oh,
You think
listen,
s
man.
you think Alito is corrupt now?
I'm gonna tell you what's
Woo!
gonna happen. I'm gonna tell you what's gonna happen. 2025, they're gonna if the Republicans get the House, the Senate, and the presidency, they're gonna ask Clarence Thomas to resign, to step down. And you know what they're gonna do? Put somebody in that's younger.
Yeah.
They'll get some 45, 55-year old, and guess what that 45, 55-year old is gonna do for the next 20 years?
Yeah.
Just like Clarence Thomas.
Yep.
Clarence Thomas came in 80, 88, 90,
Mhm.
90, something like that. Something like that. So he's been on the court for 30 years.
Mm.
That's what they're gonna do. They're gonna ask all these old conservative judges to step down, put in younger folks, because guess what
Like
they
Tony
did
Blair,
during exactly. Guess what they
who
did
who
during the Trump
who do
administration?
who do not even man, she don't even understand constitutional law.
No.
Like like, literally, like, man, you can go to her hearing, and they asked her a constitutional question, and she could not answer the question, and she's sitting on the Supreme Court.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
That should
Yeah.
scare people.
That man I'm telling you, man. Boy. Um, yeah, man, and that's why I'm like, when I see like certain folk who are like quote unquote progressive, you know what I mean? Like, really, you're talking about not voting for people, and right now, a year from now, based on what's going on, come on, man.
Yeah,
Well, what do you think? What do you think any of them going to do? That's different,
yeah.
right? Like, right now you have the best possible outcome, you know what I'm saying? And they're just not, and like you said, what I mean, a lot of the leftists, especially black leftists, they're making these definitive comments based on white leftists, right?
Mhm.
I always say it all the time, oh man, Joe Biden, I see some black leftists or something, Joe Biden losing support. I'm like, okay, you need to put that in context. He's
Yeah.
not losing support from his base, you know what I'm saying? And also the 18, like we're seeing in Virginia right now, the 18 to 30-year-olds, they don't show up to vote.
Mm.
So, mm, you know what I mean? Like, if that 18 to 30-year-olds, if they somehow uh uh who actually outnumber the 45 to 60 plus, if they somehow show up to vote and they outnumber the 45 60 plus, then I would believe you. But until the 18 to 35, 18 to 30s start voting in higher numbers, nah, 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 nah. Nah,
What
nah, nah, nah.
what baffles me about that, like, they talk as if, like, the younger generation is, like, stupid. You
Mhm,
know what I'm saying? You're talking about they may not be, savvy when it comes
mhm,
to, like, trying to figure out, like, things that they need to do to actually survive in this country, to to
Mhm.
become what their parents or grandparents was.
Mhm.
But they're smart enough to know that Trump's a fucking idiot
Mhm.
and Biden is too old, but his policies are leaning in the right direction.
Mhm.
Like they're smart enough to understand that.
Yeah, but the problem is that they don't translate that into power.
Mm-mm,
Right.
mm-mm,
So sure, they can get on TikTok, they can get on Twitter, they can get on Snapchat, and they can spout all these smart things, but they don't translate that to power. You know what I'm saying? You can look at state elections, you can look at federal
mhm,
elections. You know what I'm saying? I think the most of the 18 to 30-year olds were during the Obama administration. You know what I'm saying? But until they until they push that to being power, they just screaming in the wind. You know what I'm saying? Like you know, it's not like that 18 to 30-year olds during the 50s and the 60s who were
mhm.
marching in the street, who were protesting Vietnam, who were
Right.
actually out doing things. I mean, for God's sakes, Fred Hampton was killed and he was 21.
They
You know what I'm
won.
saying? There was another young brother. He was killed as well. He was 18, part of Black Panther Party. You know what I'm saying? So you had and that's not even including the white 18 the
Mhm,
30-year-olds that were being arrested and being killed and being put in jail, you know what I'm saying,
mhm,
during that time. They translated that to power, you know what I'm saying?
mhm.
Now some of them become Republicans in the 80s, but that's another story. But the but today, uh, the 18 to 30-year-olds, they think that if I get on TikTok or I get on Snapchat or I get on social media, then for some reason that because I have followers, you know, that somehow is power, which it is. You know, it's
Mhm,
influencing it's influencing folks, but you're not doing anything because again, the biggest number that outnumbers you are 40 to 60 plus. You
mhm.
know what I'm saying? And guess who's making all the policy decisions? Guess who's making all of all of your life decisions for the next 20 to 30 years?
Mhm.
Is the 40 to you know to 50-year olds, 40
Yeah.
to 60-year olds. They're making all your life decisions. So if you don't go out and then organize and use your platform to say, hey, we need to get young people together to actually transform, a government that looks like us, that is for us. You know what I'm
Mhm.
saying? You only got one millennial that got elected to government. You know what I mean? There were plenty of millennials that ran. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? So, you know, it is, you know, they're yeah.
Yeah, it
I,
yeah. When it comes to millennials, their minds are in the right place, but the harshest thing I could say to them, they're a do nothing generation.
somewhat,
When it comes to politics,
when it comes to
because
politics,
yeah, because they don't understand that unlike when we had Bush, when
hmm
we were 18, 19,
hmm
that we were like, man, fuck this shit,
hmm
bro. Like he's fucked up. I'm voting.
yeah,
You know what I'm saying? Like
hmm
they don't understand that kind of power because they also have this thing about them where they believe if they just sit sit in the background
hmm
and like, you know, I ain't bothering nobody, nobody's bothering me, that life will get better. That
hmm
kind of mindset and just like, yeah, that normally don't work.
hmm
You know what I'm saying? Because we all know, like, as soon as we walk out the door, which we have expressed 100 times, as soon as you walk out the door, you're being governed by somebody.
Yep, you interact with
Um,
government.
yeah, but I definitely get what you're saying, but the I think that that was literally where I was kind of leaning to, just like if the young people, which the polls don't reflect, is the young group, because they don't participate in polls either,
Mm-mm.
where people are looking at it. Okay, Taylor Swift just went to a concert a few months ago and registered 3 million people.
Mm-hmm.
Now, who the fuck is following Taylor Swift?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And it was to a point that Republicans started to cry about her registering people to vote.
Mm-hmm.
And that right there is what I mean by they are the silent vote as of
Mm-hmm.
now, but they are hopefully the change agents.
Yeah.
But I hope that they are smart enough, because they also are talking about, you know, they don't support Joe Biden, which is cool. Which is cool. But what I was trying to explain at that point was they are smart enough to sit back and say, what's on the table?
Mm-hmm.
Well, we know Trump's going to win. If he don't go to jail, most likely he would. But the 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 thing of it is, when that is on the table and is Joe Biden on one side, Trump on the other, young people are going to choose Joe if they show up. It's
If
just
they
what it
show
is.
if they
If
show up, man. I don't man, I hate to say this, but I don't listen to young folk, man. Like uh mainly because you know they make stupid decisions. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
Yeah, and
About their feelings, man.
yeah, man. And you know what I'm saying? Like they aren't they do not look past a lot of young folks today. Don't look past what they got going on tomorrow, right?
Mhm,
They can't see 10, 20 years down the road. You know what I'm saying?
mhm.
Whereas there were young people who were galvanized during the Bush administration or when President Bush was elected and during the Obama years, you know what I'm saying, could see, you know, down the road, right? You know what I'm saying? Um, but again, you look at these state elections, they not participating. You know what I'm saying? They are not participating. Um, while they are a smarter generation, they're dumb.
Yeah, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, like your choice is not between Joe Biden and Trump. Your choice
Mhm,
is whether you have Social Security or not. Your
mhm.
choice is whether you have abortion or not. Your choice is healthcare. Your choice right now is whether you get your student loans forgiven. That is your
Very true.
choice. And I I always see this argument, man, and I get tired of hearing it. Really, to be honest with you, man. You know, Joe Biden and Trump, Joe Biden and Trump. That's not what it is. That's
Mhm,
not what it
mhm,
is, man.
mhm,
It is policy.
mhm.
Policy. You know what I'm saying? It's the same thing happened during the Obama administration, right? You had a chance to get the reason we didn't get um healthcare, we didn't get single payer healthcare system was because the people who were already in office. We didn't show up in 2010 to put more people in office. And that
Mhm.
was the young people at the time. The young people at that time did not show up in
In the
2010.
midterm. Yeah.
And you didn't show, and we didn't show up through the 6 years to the last 6 years of Obama, other than when he got elected. You know what I'm saying? Didn't show up to state elections to elect senators and things of that nature. Well, I'm sorry. The Supreme Court got rid of the civil rights clause in 2013.
Mhm.
I'm sorry, and that affected the 2014 midterm election. So you did have that, and it also affected the 2016 election, which got Trump elected. You know what I'm saying? Because states started to implement all of the um, voter suppression laws.
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying? So
Gerrymandering.
yeah, yeah, and again, a lot of this stuff is about 2030 creating more gerrymandered districts right now. South Carolina, North Carolina, Alabama, Mississippi, basically all the Republican states are told we're told to create, you know, black districts that they took away. You know what I'm
Mhm,
saying? So they're already going to prepare for that. You know what I'm saying?
mhm.
You know what I mean? But again, you know, um, um, young people, to me, the problem is young people like sloganeering. You know what I mean? They like sloganeering, you know what I'm saying? They like sloganeering, they like BLM, BLM, yeah, you know what I'm saying? They like, defund the police. Like, yeah, okay, well, I need you to show up so we can actually, do that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, yeah,
And you
yeah.
don't show up. Jamie Harrison here in South Carolina would have beat Lindsey Graham. He didn't beat Lindsey Graham because that 18 or whatever, 18 to 30 didn't show up. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it
So
was a close race.
it was a very close race, and Lindsey Graham knew that.
Mhm.
Lindsey Graham knew it was a very close race. He knew that. You know what I'm
South
saying?
Carolina would be different right now.
It'd be very different right now. Very different right now how we got Lindsey. So while I do appreciate the young folk, you know what I'm saying. You know, a lot of them aren't thinking, man. They really aren't. They really aren't thinking. They aren't thinking. Um, you know, again, they're looking for perfection. You are not going to get perfection in politics because
Mm.
you have human beings who are running for political office. You are not going to get perfection. You know, um, yeah.
No, yeah, yeah. So that part, I definitely, man, I 100% agree with you, man.
Hmm.
Because I think I was talking to a Republican one day, and and again, self-described Republican, and I basically said what 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 Republicans have in common with very leftist young people is self-righteousness.
Hmm.
The self-righteousness is literally what's going to doom us.
Hmm.
Because if you are looking at everything and you want it to be perfect and you want it to be like exactly what you want, it's not going to happen, man.
Yeah. It's
It's not
not.
going to happen. You
Hmm.
just want the best thing that's right in front of you,
Yeah,
and
man.
then try to make that work, and then try to get better.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, look at the Democrats. I mean, we got to work with Joe Manchin.
Yeah, yeah,
Like,
yeah,
like, what I mean? Like, Joe Manchin is looking at, like, hold up. I'm in a Trump district. I'm in a Trump state.
yeah,
And I got to somehow get reelected as a Democrat.
yeah. And he's going to lose.
Yeah. We'll see.
Oh yeah, bro.
I don't know.
because
Um,
because he had he has pissed off his whole entire base
mm,
because they were more purple than what he assumed.
mm,
And that is the problem with those politicians. You know,
mm,
Kristen Cinema, um, Joe Manchin, um, man, who else? Um, it's a few other ones,
mm,
but they didn't realize how purple their district actually was. So
mm,
they leaned more right than they should have.
mm,
And you see this with the Republicans,
mm,
where the Republicans who won in purple districts have told the line of the Republican Party that have been too extreme, that
yeah.
now they are trying to show that they're fighting against the Republican Party.
Mhm, mhm. Yeah,
Th-
you
This
do
can
see some,
happen.
yeah. Yeah, you do see some Republicans who are realizing that, "Oh, man, I probably shouldn't be opposing abortion." They probably should not be opposing abortion, not opposing CRT or whatnots, you know what I'm saying? And
Yeah,
things of that
trying to
nature,
come
man.
across as moderates, man.
Yeah, trying to come across, but when we get in 2024, people gotta be watch out for the okey doke, man. Watch out for the I'm trying to remember a lyric from my song, man, from dang, what's it called? Watch out for the hook. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, Cool Breeze, man.
Mhm.
Cool Breeze, known as the champ. What's that? Cool Breeze? I can't remember. Anyway, you got the hook is watch out for the hook. You know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah,
Uh
it's coming.
yeah,
Like it's
yeah.
coming. They're setting the jab up. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
yeah. But
The-
what I'm saying is that you got to watch out for these folks who are going to be running as Democrats and they're really Republicans. Like we already seen it, in North
Mhm,
Carolina and Georgia,
mhm.
somewhere else. I think Virginia.
Yeah,
Like you already seen it.
yeah,
So they're like, oh, we're gonna get Republicans in, and one way or the other,
yeah,
we're gonna switch parties.
yeah. Who's that?
Yeah. Ah,
Mayor Baraka down in Louisiana.
mhm,
Um, man, I think his name is Baraka. Um,
mhm,
but he's a mayor down in Louisiana, right?
mhm,
So with this young gentleman, the police ran this guy over, killed him,
mhm,
then buried him in a state funded cemetery.
mhm,
And his mother didn't know where he was, filed a police report, a missing person, and so forth. 9 months later, they find out that the police killed him.
mhm,
Well, the mayor, who ran as a progressive, um, then basically backed the police.
mhm,
So it's that dynamic what we're talking about, where all of those people that pretend that they were quote unquote progressive
mhm,
and did very moderate things, like what's her name, left uh in Chicago, left something, left foot.
mhm.
Oh,
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
yeah,
Lightfoot.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah,
Mhm.
Lightfoot. Um, Mayor Adams, all of they're out of
Oh,
there.
Adams was never a progressive. Oh no.
But he ran as a populist progressive.
He ran as a populist Democrat.
Right. Which
Yeah.
which which people was tying him into being a progressive because
Oh,
of his language.
I I want to know who these people are because ain't
Bro,
no way.
no,
There's no way.
bro. It's people that
There's
did not
no.
understand.
There's no
It's people
way.
that did not understand politics. And they heard him use populist things. And again,
Mhm,
whenever like people say now, well, Trump was more progressive because of X policy, because bro, people are talking about this. And it's
Stupid.
just like, because he used populist language.
He used yeah. Populism exists on the left and the right.
Yes, but people when they hear populist language, what they assume is that it affects um in a progressive way in policy, which that's not the case. Which, man, people, I'm like, man, he was always like more, you know, conservative than anybody, but that's how people consumed it.
Oh man, I would like to
Yeah,
meet those folks who thought Mayor
it's
Adams
just regular everyday people,
was
man.
anywhere near liberal. Like he was nowhere. People knew that. The problem in the New York election was the ranked choice voting. That's what the
Uh,
problem was. Yeah, it was the ranked choice voting. It didn't go as folks planned. And so you get Mayor you get Mayor Adams, man.
yeah,
Conservative Democrat, man. That's really what he is. He's a conservative Democrat. Former Republican.
Mhm.
He's a former Republican. But yeah, man. Yeah, man. And again, like I said, yeah, I just really wish people would invest what truly these words mean, you know what I
Mhm.
mean? And not just throw them around, you know what I'm saying? It's like, Bernie Sanders trying to explain that he's not a socialist. He was a socialist Democrat. Like there's a difference. There's most definitely a difference, you know what I'm saying? That's like trying to explain, you can't just, you can't just call somebody a Muslim. You have to, okay, what are they, Sunni, Shia? Are
Yeah,
they, black? You know what I'm saying?
yeah,
You
yeah.
can't just call somebody a Christian. Okay, are they Methodists?
Mhm.
Are they
Mhm.
Catholic? Are they, you know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, yeah. So
But we hear it, at least on our page where,
mhm.
you left this and, then they compare us to, like, Joe Biden. It's just like, "Nah, we don't have the same policies, man." Like,
Yeah,
we don't
yeah.
have the same ideas of what policy is, but
Right.
again, that's exactly what I'm explaining about
Hmm.
how people was consuming Mayor Adams with the populist language. And
Yeah.
you can see across politics that when people use populist language and people are talking about now, like, will Trump run as a populist because he can outflank the left? Well, again, this is the problem with people understanding what that means.
Yeah.
What is a leftist?
Yeah,
What is a
man.
populist?
Yeah, like Trump ran on populist language in 2016, but eh, eh, yeah, yeah, Trump ran on populist language. The problem that people don't talk about is those Obama voters that voted for Trump,
Yeah,
the white Obama voters that voted for Trump, and you ain't getting them back.
no,
You know what I'm saying? You're not getting them back. You know what I'm saying? And that was a flaw with that was a flaw that Hillary Clinton didn't recognize, and nor did Biden understand. And when he ran, like you sitting here trying to get these Obama imaginary people back. They're not coming back, man.
suburban
They
moms.
well, yeah, yeah, suburban moms, people who felt all, who felt, oh, we finally going to end race relations if I vote for this black man and his black wife and his black kids
Yeah,
in the White House. And then they somehow was like, I'm not going to vote for this white woman. I'm not going to do that, you know, which again, leads us to where we're at today. You know what I'm saying? Like, as not recognizing power, man. I was talking to somebody about that. How white women. It's fascinating because you have progressives who are today talking about not voting for Kamala Harris, white progressives.
mhm, mhm.
When you had the chance to vote for a white woman, you didn't want to do it.
Yeah.
You didn't want to do it. So what is this talking about? You don't want to vote for Kamala Harris now. You know what I mean? Like that makes no sense. And again, they have no connection you know, uh, um, to what happened in 2016. You know what I'm saying? And
Well,
white
it's also
women,
what makes them comfortable with not voting for Kamala Harris, but somewhat thinking about voting for Nikki Haley.
that's
You know
stupid.
what I'm saying? Like, yeah, she looks like she can be my neighbor.
Oh yeah, of course. Of course that's what it is. You know what I'm saying? That's what it comes down to. You know what I'm saying? But at the end of the day, uh, Hillary Clinton looks like they could have been their neighbor too.
Yeah,
They didn't
yeah,
vote for her.
yeah.
They did not vote for her. And and that's what I was telling somebody I had a conversation with. If white women just did not, it voted under 50% for Hillary Clinton, she would have been president. Um, and I was like, if you put an individual like a Hillary Clinton, I was like, take away the other stuff about the Clinton mob and all this other stuff. I was like, if you put Hillary Clinton in charge, I was like, you would have had more. more left leaning judges. Roe v. Wade wouldn't have gotten rid of.
Mhm.
You probably would have had some form of healthcare. You know what I mean? I was like, right now in southern states, they're closing hospitals if you live in rural areas. Like the reason why people are moving to the city is because guess where the resources are going flowing to,
Mhm.
or moving to different cities. Um, but it's like on a federal level, you would have had way more progress. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? And I likened it to, in the Air Force, the Air Force selected their first female chief master sergeant of the Air Force.
Mhm.
Well, when they selected the first female chief master sergeant of the Air Force, well, she implemented hair standards
Mhm.
that because to help women so that when they got out, women, particularly black women or women with certain curly hair, wouldn't get alopecia.
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying? So she implemented positive things, implemented longer family leave, so on and so forth. You know what I'm
Mhm.
saying?
Mhm.
These things would have happened under President Clinton. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But they just looked at the wrong thing. You know what I mean?
Well,
And
as McCarthy said, the Benghazi investigations worked, didn't it?
I mean, that's what it for real. It worked. It worked. It worked. And the
If
same thing in a
she didn't become president,
yeah. I
so
mean I mean
people fall for this stuff all the time.
all the time,
And at some
man.
point in time, man, like people really got to stop falling for the same tricks.
Yeah, man. But they always gonna fall for it because they see people that look like them. Oh man, great book I read, man. 400 years. It's called White Trash. 400 Years of Class in
Mm,
America, man. Well, I had to finish the rest of it by audiobook because it was just too dense of a book for me to
mm,
continue. But anyway, but that's what it was talking about. How how the white how white people, the white elites convinced white middle class and white poor people to fight for the things that the white elites want,
mhm,
right? The way they do that is by of course was by convincing them that somebody's coming to take your jobs and things of that nature. um and in the book it was talking about a picture. I'm gonna try to find the picture, but it's a picture everybody's seen, like the black girl, she's holding books, she has on glass, she's still alive by the way,
mm,
she's holding books, she's on her way to school, and there's a white girl behind her who's yelling at her. You know what I'm saying?
mm,
These white folks, how they get to this area in Arkansas is because the white elites basically pushed them around black people, and these because they were considered poor white trash.
mm,
So when the black kids begin to integrate the school or forced to integrate their school, you know what I'm saying? The girl that's yelling, the white girl that's yelling to the black girl, she is part of a poor white trash community. She's like 15 years old. She's like 15 years old. The white girl in that photo, the next year, she likes pregnant, she gets married, you know what I'm saying? But the whole point of that, of that point in the book was saying how the white elites were convincing these classes of people that other people were taking from them, while at the same time the elites are taking from, poor white people and middle class white Americans as well. You know what I'm saying?
mhm,
And they create these this tension, you know what I'm saying? And just like today, they create the tension today by CRT,
mhm,
BLM,
mhm.
abortion, immigration. You know what I mean? What about
Wedge issues.
Chicago? What's that?
Wedge issues.
Yeah, wedge issues. Yeah, yeah. You notice you don't hear about the Chicago any as much. They're not talking about Chicago as much because there's not a black woman who's also a lesbian in charge of
Uh,
Chicago anymore. Yeah, exactly. You know what I'm saying? So they create all these issues, and people forget that it was majority white folk who were storming state capitals and storming school boards during the pandemic.
mhm,
You know, and after the George Floyd, you know,
Mhm.
things mainly spurred on by individuals who are part of this 2025 project, you know what I'm saying, Heritage Foundation and so on and so forth, who are
Mhm.
spurring these groups of people who are in close proximity, you know what I mean, to black people and certain classes of people, you know what I'm saying, so that they can cause these issues and cause these problems, you know what I'm saying? Which is why they also want to they were able to redistrict in the way that they were, create the gerrymandering in which they were able to, because guess where people are moving close to? They're
Mhm.
moving close. Yeah, they're moving closer towards towards the city and things of that nature, you know what I'm saying? Or closer towards more populous areas, more populous areas. Well, where do the majority of black people live? They live near more populous areas, you know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
Yeah. And
Mhm.
so, yeah, it was fascinating. I probably butchered that whole thing, but I found it fascinating how like decade after decade after decade, the white elites are able to convince these groups of white people to not ally with other people who have similar economic economic issues, you know what I'm saying, and like you said, they just find a wedge to create, you know.
'Cause you gotta make sure the Rainbow Coalition don't happen again.
Oh yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah, you gotta make sure that all those white folks that were helping out during the civil rights movement, you gotta make sure
Mhm.
that don't happen again. You know what I mean? You gotta make sure all those white folks who were voting for and voted for Obama, supported Michelle Obama. You gotta make sure that don't happen. You know what I'm saying? And again, I know people probably, hear this and be like, ah man, race, 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 race. Like that that's
Yeah.
what it is. You could be blind to it if you want. You can
Yeah.
be blind to it if you want, but it's right there in your face. Like it's right there in your face, you know.
Yeah.
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 Yeah,
It
yeah.
it it's the same thing, like, you know, kinda talking about, the gentleman, Frank, oh my gosh, man, what is his name? Oh, man.
Frank
Yeah, I can't I
Frank
can't think of his name.
what was he
Schaefer, Frank Schaefer.
oh, who's that?
So Frank Schaefer is the the son of, oh my gosh, I do not remember his father's name, but his father is who helped Jerry Falwell
Mm. Mhm.
get into the circles,
Mhm.
he pulled the evangelicals into the political arena.
Mhm.
So Frank Schaefer now is in his 70s or whatever, but now he's seeing the works that him and his father did, and then he then eventually helped later on, has manifest.
Mhm.
And so now he just like, I have really made a mistake, but but he's telling the story of everything from back in the 50s, because that was his father that
Mhm.
was doing those works, to now, which he was a part of it during the 80s, early 80s, 70s,
Mhm.
um, till now. Um, and he's kind of just trying to rewrite his story because he made a blunder. You know, you let the spook in the door,
Mhm.
and the spook was always the evangelicals.
Mhm.
Um, yeah, so
Yeah, yeah.
it's interesting.
Yeah, yeah. Once the Republican Party started pivoting towards the evangelicals, man, that's you know, um, the abortion issues and other,
Mhm.
issues. Yeah, man, it was
Race is back on the table. Like,
Yeah, all of that is back on the table, man. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like you said, race, gender, all that's back on the table, man, because
yeah,
again, they think they're on some biblical crusade,
Yeah.
to save people, and they're going to use the government, by that. This is why they gotta, uh, I mean, we have a national prayer breakfast that was never an established thing. It was just like Ronald Reagan started doing it and everybody started doing it. You know what I'm saying? So now it's like a thing. You know what I mean? So when a president misses it, they're like, "Oh my god, you don't believe in prayer?" Like, no, it's not a thing. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Yeah, it's just a thing to make a certain group feel good and stuff like that. You know what I'm
Mhm.
saying? Just and uh but yeah, man, all these folks who having like revisionist history, man, I like, man, I don't I don't want to hear that. You know what I'm saying? Like, man, again, man, we are in the 40th year of Ronald Reagan, and uh um and P we are, while most of us might not live through it, we are seeing the decline of America. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So, our standing within the world and our standing within, um, not only with our dollar, but how the rest of the world sees us. You know what I'm saying? We are living in that decline. Uh, and if these folks get their wish in 2024, whew, man,
Well, it's the reason why after the pandemic, like the life expectancy of Americans were dropped out of,
yeah,
you know, we were the only country out of the first world country
yeah,
to drop, you know what I'm saying?
yeah,
And
hmm
and the Republican response was, ah,
let them eat
let's go
cake.
ahead and raise the age of Social Security.
Yeah,
Like,
crazy. It's crazy.
ah,
Oh man. I was thinking about that the other day. I'm like, man, we actually grew up with people who retired at like 57.
yeah, yep.
Yeah,
Just sit on their porch and just chill.
yeah,
You don't
yeah,
even see
yeah,
it no more.
yeah. They retired at 57.
Mhm.
Like, man, we actually, yeah, like, man, no wonder they were, but now, Republicans want to push it to 72,
Yeah.
saying that people are living longer. But the other part, of course, like you said, the other part they're not saying is that, well, yeah, people are living longer, but if they reduce your quality of life, right? Because they also want to deregulate, you know what I mean? Deregulate a lot of these companies and corporations. The reason that the EPA came about was because people realized that a lot of these companies were polluting communities. They mainly polluting poor white and black communities, and everybody else who lived in that proximity. So that's why the EPA came about, because people are, these companies just, we of course we live in Delaware with the DuPonts, polluting the water. You know what
We
I'm saying?
fish in none of that water.
Oh yeah, 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 man. That was the thing growing up. Like, man, I ain't eating none of that fish that come out of that water.
Mm-mm.
Yeah, like
Mm.
nobody. I don't remember seeing too many people fish out of that water. Fish out of Christiana.
Yeah, I
Um,
know a couple people that fish out of there, but
yeah,
man, look here. I'm
mm,
like,
mm,
mm-mm, don't put that on
yeah,
my plate, man.
yeah,
Like, yeah, DuPont tore that water up, man.
yeah,
All the
yeah.
way up until all the way up to Lehigh. Because I
Wow,
didn't know they had plants on that river. So
dang, that's
they
crazy.
for since the '80s, they just been dumping toxic stuff to the river.
Phew, that's crazy.
They just are doing something about it now in the federal government, but it's hung up
Mm,
in the Supreme Court.
yeah,
And now it's almost like the Supreme Court can't do anything because it's too late
yeah,
and it would be too expensive to clean up that our
yeah,
government can't afford it and DuPont
yep,
can't afford it.
yeah, yeah. It's
So
crazy.
now they want to cut more of the EPA.
Of
Republicans don't.
course, that's their plan. Cut the EPA. Cut the EPA. Cut public education. You know what I mean? Cut, healthcare. Like that. To them, reducing the government. means anything that has to do with the quality of life of people.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? 'Cause they'll
Yes.
always bring it back. Well, the Constitution would have guaranteed it. Well, I
Yeah.
mean, that's what amendments are for, right? You know, and of course, states' rights. You know what I'm saying? That's what they always reduce to. Anyway, all right, bro. You got anything? Any last things to say?
Nothing else, man. I just hope young people vote, man. Like, you know what I'm saying? We got every last house member, every last house member
Yeah,
have to face an election
yeah,
from now until next year,
yeah,
from special elections till next year. Look,
yeah,
man, go vote.
yeah,
Y'all want a better life, man? Go vote.
yeah.
Ain't no party more important.
Hmm.
Not hanging out, just chilling is more important, man. Establish your future
Hmm.
by using your power. Just like Tay was saying, man, use your power, man. Because otherwise, somebody else gonna use theirs.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah, you're gonna be governed. You're gonna be
Yeah,
governed by generations, you know,
who
past,
about to
man.
check out?
Yeah, who they about to check out, man. They ain't got too many summers left, man. They determining well, how you gonna live.
They
You know
trying
what
to
I'm
burn the
saying?
house up. They trying to burn the house up as they going out.
Bruh, man. The damn boomers, man.
Yeah.
Oh man. All right, man. Appreciate y'all. We out.
We out.